What if you and your two least favorite friends were stranded on an alien planet with no chance of getting home?
Wonder with us. I'm Bethany,
I am still Connor.
and this is Wonder with Us.
It has been a hot minute.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
I don't know if this is public knowledge or not, so try to hold it together. But we're in the middle of a global pandemic.
Pandemic, people are jobless.
Wildfires.
Yeah, the world's on fire.
How
More
about
than
yours?
just Southern California.
Ooh, I like it. I never get bored.
It's everywhere.
So the west coast of the United States has been on fire for a couple of weeks now. We are still in the middle of a global pandemic. Thank you to COVID-19. Good news is we are socially distancing exactly how we need to be in the same studio. We're married, though. I think that's okay.
It is okay. We share a house.
But the good news is we are back.
We are back.
Is that good news?
It is good news
I
because
think it's good news.
we have a new layout.
We have a new layout. We have yet another episode. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. They made it 14 episodes before they took almost a 5-year hiatus.
It's only been like 4 months.
To that I say,
Yeah.
you got me. I got nothing. We got 14 episodes in and we took a 4-month hiatus.
Unintentional.
Due to circumstances everywhere.
Life, the world.
With that said, I would like to give a tremendous thank you to the people who have been listening in our absence.
Yes, thank you. We see you.
We see you. We don't know who you are because nobody tweets at us. We got these Twitter accounts and like Facebooks and stuff, and nobody contacts us. So we know you're listening.
I do keep seeing views on the Facebook page,
Hey, somebody's looking at the nothing we've posted.
but nobody's saying anything to me, so I don't know who they are.
Tweet at us.
Yeah, let us know.
If you're listening, we want to talk to you. We appreciate you.
Yeah, so thanks for hanging in there with us, guys.
Thanks for hanging in there when we didn't.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. I'm just going to take my jacket off here so I'm a little more aerodynamic for the recording.
But we're fixing it. We're back now, back
We
on
are.
track.
We're back. We're back on track. We're back on schedule. We will see how long that lasts.
Yeah, we'll keep it on schedule.
Now, hypothetical Q&A, as it's written on my notes here.
Okay.
If you found yourself stranded on a far-off alien planet with two of your least favorite people, with limited food, even more limited water, and really no hope for the future, what the fuck are you gonna do about it?
Okay, so alien planet, meaning I would have to be in space.
Yes,
Meaning I would
so,
be...
okay, let me preface. In this scenario, you have managed to travel to an alien planet without stepping foot in a spaceship or going into space, but you have managed to crash your spaceship that you didn't get into or travel through space with on said alien planet. And go.
I don't know how to handle that question.
It's a hypothetical. We can ignore the fact that you will never go into space, even if given the opportunity.
Yeah, no, I definitely refuse. Hate space. Don't like it.
Nobody's offering. That's okay.
Okay. Because it does send me into a panic. I don't like it at all.
Well, then let's stop talking about the space part of it. Let's talk about the stranded on an alien planet part of it.
I think then it would just come down to like real life Survivor. Yeah, just watching
Just
two other people around me.
thievery and fucking backstabbing.
Yeah, it'd be
carving
savage.
immunity idols and shit when people aren't looking, cheating at challenges. That's your alien planet strategy.
Yeah, trying not to die, mostly.
Trying not to die.
Well, trying to survive the longest. Storing up ammunition so that, yeah, anyway.
So you're stranded on an alien planet with 2 coworkers, and your only goal is be the last man standing.
Yeah. Especially if I don't like the coworkers.
You heard it here, folks. At its_Bethany. We'll just let coworkers die if it means she gets to live a little longer. Don't I feel like a loved husband?
Oh, it wasn't you, though. It was coworkers I was with. It'd be completely different if it were you.
Sure it would. All right, so episode 15.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I shot an arrow into the air.
I don't like starting on a negative note.
Sure.
But I don't like the title.
Yeah?
I don't like the title of the episode.
What is it about it that you don't like?
I don't like the title of the episode is I Shot an Arrow into the Air.
Mm-hmm.
It is
redundant?
Well,
non-surprising?
It takes away some of the what's happening here from the episode, for starters, which Twilight Zone is a walking bag of what happened here. That's the whole premise of the show, is like, here's a thing. What happened here, we'll reveal it over the next 29 minutes, whatever the case may be.
Sure.
I Shot an Arrow into the Air, if you take half a second to think about it, gives away everything you need to know about the episode. And that bothers me a little bit.
Even without, like, just from the title on its own, without knowing anything about the episode.
No, I mean, once you start watching the episode, you see the opening where we've got the guys in the super cheap NASA setup talking about what happened. They sent this ship off into the air. They lost track of it during some kind of fucking electrical storm or some crap, whatever it was. It doesn't take a genius
to put 2 and 2 together.
To put 2 and 2 together with the title, especially when one of the main characters says, I shot an arrow into the air. Fucking whatever the last half of that is.
Where it was the guy in the Space Center that said it.
Right. It was one of the NASA employees talking about the missing ship who referenced a statement that has always meant if you fire an arrow into the air, gonna come back down.
So what comes up must come down.
Yeah.
How would you retitle it?
How would I retitle it?
Yeah.
I would probably go with like asshole gets what he deserves.
Oh, just keeping it real vague, like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or cheapest and fastest space mission in the history of humanity, according to their specs.
I don't know if it was the cheapest.
Do we have a note of what they said the mission cost?
No, because I don't think they actually mention it in the episode either. I'm just assuming based on all the lights that they had. So much accoutrement.
I don't know what you just said. I don't speak Italian. So I don't remember what they said. They said that it was like a 4-year trip that these guys were supposed to be taking.
Yeah.
Or that it was 4 years to build the ship, maybe?
It took them 4 years.
It was 4 years to build the ship.
Yep.
That is fucking bonkers.
Yep.
That it took 1960 NASA 4 years to build it. Actually, you know what? Based on the episode, I believe it. I believe that they spent 4 years making that ship.
Yeah.
Because it acted exactly how a 4-year-old ship should. We spent 4 years and 8 people's manpower to build this ship and send 37 people up in space. That's right. Now we got 3 on an alien planet.
I don't think
with the ringing sounds of casinos in the distance.
I don't think it was 35.
I don't remember how many fucking crew members were on. Oh, all the better. All the better. We spent 4 years making a ship so that we could send it to fucking Reno. That's a joke.
Thanks for spoilers.
No. You can't spoil something that's been out for 3 years, let alone 50.
Hey. Okay. So we have watched the episode since.
Spoilers.
Yeah, there are people out there that have never seen it.
If there are people out in the world that have not seen The Twilight Zone and are upset about the potential of spoilers, they probably shouldn't be listening to a podcast that's reviewing episodes of The Twilight Zone.
More motivation to go watch it, guys. You should. It's good.
They landed in Reno.
Okay, so this episode originally aired, speaking of that, January 15th, 1960.
Oh my God, I got the year right. Go me. Let's see. We got Stuart Rosenberg directed this one. Born August 11, 1927 in Brooklyn, New York. My personal favorite place to talk. Nope, fucked that accent up, didn't I? You go over there and whistle. I go over there and whistle. That's the. I don't even know if this is like a Brooklyn accent or if it's just like a super stereotypical New York accent.
If we have people listening on the East Coast of America, I apologize.
I do not apologize because this is what you sound like when I hear you talking and shit. You're like, you go over there and whistle, I'll go over there and whistle, we'll whistle till we find each other, and then you go fuck yourself. Like, that's everything I hear when I hear New Yorkers talking. And it's not personal. I just can't understand what you're saying or why you love whistling so much.
We are from the West Coast. It's okay.
Is it okay?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it's okay to be blatantly ignorant about other people, especially when you consider it like it's another culture, but it's a culture that's like
in the same country,
16 hours that way.
Yeah,
like it's not even. I don't. To be fair,
cultural perceptions are a weird thing because I know that there are people in other countries who just have their general stereotype of America as a whole.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we are all gun-toting, whiskey-drinking Texans.
I mean,
every single one of us.
And then when you kind of zoom into it, and you have East Coast versus West Coast, and then
whoa, let's not throw verses in there. We don't need to start a fucking war here.
I'm just saying about the cultural like stereotypes,
the cultural perception of the stereotypes. I do appreciate it because I have had people. When I was on tour, I had people regularly mention that they were surprised by my lack of California accent.
Dude.
And I literally had to ask them, like, what the hell were you expecting me to sound like? And they're like, well, like, y'all all sound like this. And, like, everything's a question mark over there. And, like, you got the uptick. Like, dude, like, your perception of California is like 8 Valley girls in San Francisco that nobody talks to because the only people that will talk to them is themselves, like them and their little group of friends.
It's what you see in the late 90s, like, sitcoms.
It is, but at the same time, when I got back from tour, the first time I went to the beach in San Diego, I ran into a dude who was a straight Brody-looking motherfucker with his board shorts on that were, like, just barely keeping his junk from hanging out, no T-shirt, carrying his surfboard, and he was legit, like, walking around like, dude, like, the waves are great today. Like motherfucker, you and Pauly Shore are the reason people think about Californians the way they do.
Yeah.
I mean, that and all of our politicians and all of our politics and the fact that it's, an oven.
It is what it is.
At Pompeii every couple of years.
Can we get back to Stuart Rosenberg?
Yeah, so he's he's from, that's what we were talking about. Yeah, so born Brooklyn, New York, died March 15th, 27. 27? Go Connor, 2007.
In Beverly Hills, which means
Beverly
he did it right.
As at 79 years old, which, dear fucking God, why would you want to go that long? He directed 5 actors into Oscar-nominated performances, including George Kennedy and Cool Hand Luke, which in 1967 actually won that Oscar.
Woohoo!
Who we got on the...
Can I talk about the writer?
Yeah, who we got on the writing staff?
It's Madeleine Champion. She was born August 29th, 1926, and she lived until November 16th, 1988. She's 62 years, so she was relatively young. But she is credited as the writer of this episode because apparently she met Rod Serling at a dinner party, and he... Can
I what?
Can you hear her?
Can I hear Callie barking downstairs? Yeah. Yes, I can, and so can everybody else.
Oh.
So.
Okay.
That's our dog letting us know that somebody is in the same planet as we are.
Yeah, she's very fond of letting us know when bicycles are riding across the street from her house.
Yep, or dogs are in the same town as us.
Anyway,
so
I'm sorry.
Madeline Champagne
Yes,
met Mr. Serling at a dinner party.
I got distracted. Sorry. Met him at a dinner party and suggested the outline of what would eventually become this episode. And he was so impressed by her outline that he paid her $500 in cash on the spot and then gave her the on-screen writing credit for this episode.
Okay, so I have to look up the exchange
what $500
rate.
is now.
Yeah, what $500 was in 1960s, specifically 1960. What was 500?
And this is the Connor Google segment.
Yeah, we're calling this Connor Googles. It's so that was the equivalent of that was the equivalent of $3,800
in cash.
In cash, which that is probably more than most writers make on their first on their first script. With that said, he paid her the equivalent of just shy of $4,000 cash, which he had on him.
Yeah.
Fucking baller.
He was
baller
probably,
and a shot caller, that man.
I like to think of it as he probably had like one too many drinks, and she came up and was like, hey, so I have an idea for you. What if 3 dudes flew into space only to crash land back on the same planet, but they thought it was an alien planet? And then one went crazy and killed everybody, only to then walk to the top of the hill and find out that they had never left Earth.
You giving me shit for spoilers. You just spoiled the literal entire plot.
Yeah.
Now, if I like the idea that Serling had too many drinks. She pitched this idea.
But I'm not finished.
And he just like started raining cash on her like it was a strip club in the 70s.
So he wouldn't have known about it because he's in the 60s. But anyway, she gives him this idea.
I'm going to edit out every time you correct me on some dumb shit.
She gives him this idea. You know what? That's fantastic. I like it. You get the credit. Here's this. And then just hands her like $4,000. Like, what a night.
Yeah, what a night for her. A not writer who had a piss poor idea for a piss poor episode of a piss poor show that I love. And she got $500, the equivalent of almost $4,000 at the time, in cash and writing credit for an episode that she didn't write. She wrote an outline, and by wrote an outline, the best I can figure is what she said is, here's an idea for a show I thought of.
Yeah.
And Rod Serling went,
genius.
Fuck it. I'll pay your mortgage this month.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm happy for her. I mean, everybody deserves a break once in a while. I don't think she was paid enough. Realistically, like we didn't find any information.
More than $500?
I think she should have got royalties.
Well, the fact that we don't know if she did.
There's no information about her getting royalties for it.
Yeah.
The only information that was there was that she got $500 cash and the on-screen writing credit. It never said whether or not she got anything outside of that.
We don't even know if she was actually a writer.
She's nothing. She's a ghost.
The dinner party.
She is an absolute Hollywood ghost.
Who had an idea once.
She existed in that night where she met Rod Serling and never existed again as far as we can tell. I don't even know that she existed in reality. Like, she may have been a schizophrenic idea that Serling saw sitting across the table from him after he drank the wrong peyote juice. Like,
sure.
I don't know. Whatever the case may be, this person wrote the episode according to the credits. We got Bill Mosher back for the editing. If you do not recall us bringing him up before, we got he was born September 25th, 1928. Best of our knowledge, he's still alive, or at very least we could not find a death date.
Still kicking.
He credited with 2 episodes of Casablanca. We got 8 episodes of Gunsmoke between 87 and 88, and then Twilight Zone, he's credited for 16 episodes as film editor and an uncredited 27 episodes along with that.
Yeah.
The Twilight Zone was pretty bad about not crediting people early on, and I don't know if that was just an industry standard of the time.
The music people were often uncredited as well.
The music people were almost always uncredited.
The art director was George W. Davis. He
George W.
had
Davis.
17 Oscar and Emmy nominations. actually won the Oscar for Best Art Direction and Set Decoration for The Robe in 1953, and then The Diary of Anne Frank in 1959.
Go, Mr. Davis. Well done.
I don't have any other information about him.
Well, then that's all he ever did. You heard it here first. We got music by Renee. I believe it was pronounced Garrigank.
Yeah.
He's the uncredited first composer of stock music. Born in France, 1908, died in 1998. Another damn near 90-year-old woman. Is Renee like a traditionally?
I think it's a male.
Is that a traditional male name in France?
Yep.
Whatever the case may be, we got an almost 90-year-old person, got 14 credits of The Twilight Zone, Perry Mason, and Gunsmoke.
And good old Bernard Herrmann, who's
back again
talked
forever.
About him in multiple episodes because he has done multiple episodes. So we don't need to mention him again. But
next person is my favorite name in this episode.
I'll let
bar
you
none.
Go ahead and do that then.
Lucian Marowek. It makes me feel like a powerful wizard just saying it.
Sure. Tell me about him.
I thought you were going to follow up. Whatever.
No,
he was also born in France in 1901. Died in San Diego. Good on you, my dude, in 1973. Got 43 credits to his name as composer, soundtrack, orchestral, and stock music from everything from Have Gun Will Travel up through Man in the Iron Mask.
In 1939.
And several things after and before that, but those were the ones that I had heard of before.
So we'll just run through the cast real quick.
Run through the cast?
Do you want to? We can.
I don't know. Do we want to run through the cast? Do we want to? Yeah, let's run through the cast first.
There's only like 4.
I say there's too many of them. Yeah, let's run through the cast first, and then we'll get into the plot and whatnot.
Yeah. So cast. The astronaut, space person, Corey.
Man in jumpsuit.
Was his role was acted by Dewey Martin. He was born in December 8th, 1923 in Texas and died in San Pedro, California. April 9th, 2018, he was 94.
94.
Guy has 50 acting credits to his name, including Hawaii Five-0 in 1970, Mission Impossible, the TV series in 1972. He's also known for Land of the Pharaohs, a film in 1955, and Flight to Fury, a film in 1964.
I've never heard of any of these things except for Hawaii Five-0.
Interesting thing about him, his personal life, he was married to the very famous voice actress Peggy Lee. They were married from 1956 to 59. She is a singer-songwriter voice actress. She voiced 4 characters of the Disney's 1955 Lady and the Tramp. And her music can still be heard today in Gangster Squad 2013 and King Kong 2005 and also Fear the Walking Dead in 2017.
If you have not heard of Peggy Lee, please YouTube it.
Like, you can now. Just go ahead and pause that and...
Go ahead. We'll wait. Did you look it up?
It's great, right?
It's good. You're welcome. You're welcome. Moving on. We have Colonel Bob Donlin is the character, quite obviously, played by Edward Binns, who was born September 12th, 1916. Woof, indeed. He died December 4th, 1990 in New York. He was 74 years old, fairly young for this cast.
But this guy, his acting
This
credits.
guy, though, Edward Binns, my dude, putting in that work, got that hustle, earning that guap. Is that a thing people say still? Is guap still a thing?
I think that's out.
Moving on, I'm damn near 50. He's got 179 acting credits to his name. We got 12 Angry Men in 1957, Hawaii Five-0, because they all were legally required to, apparently. Judd for the Defense in 1969, A Man Called Shenandoah TV series 1965. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's dope. Personal life. He was blacklisted during the McCarthy era.
Why?
Yet another dude blacklisted during the McCarthy era. He was suspected to have to be a communist sympathizer due solely
during the Red Scare.
Do what?
During the Red Scare.
Sure, that sounds like a thing.
Okay.
I don't know what the Red Scare is. It sounds incredibly racist, and I don't support whatever that is.
Oh, right. Continue.
He was blacklisted as a suspected communist sympathizer entirely and only because Benz, his last name, was also the name of an unrelated Communist Party member. Unrelated.
So he was blacklisted because they shared a name?
Yes. They shared a surname, a last name. That would be like me being blacklisted from like driving a forklift because my last name is Smith and some dude 30 years ago had the last name Smith and was a dick.
Huh. All right. So what happened after he was blacklisted?
Almost nothing for a while. So he found it almost impossible to get work for
like
2 years till his blacklisting was expunged. He served in World War II. I know that there's nothing grammatically wrong with that, but it hits my brain weird. He served in World War II. He was a wireless officer, and his acting career was a Broadway debut
in 1949.
Wow. So I mean
he's done a lot.
That's saying something. That means he didn't start acting until he was well over 30 years old.
Yeah.
And still managed to act in 179 different things. And probably more than that realistically, because there's a good chance that his first 9,000 jobs were uncredited.
Mm-hmm.
Get it, Benz. I mean, don't, because you're dead.
But he did get it.
But he was getting it. He was getting that work, putting in that effort.
Pearson was played by Ted Otis.
My favorite last name.
He was born in 1926. Whoa, no. Born in...
That. Okay. I think we're looking at different notes.
I'm very rusty. It's fine.
He was born
April 26, 1936 in New York. And he's still alive from what we could find out. Only 13 acting credits over 10 years. So
you ain't getting that work.
So he was active in his career from 1952 to 1962, so just 10 years. But he is known for, in addition to the Twilight Zone of this episode, he was known for One Step Behind, a film in 1960, Hands of a Stranger, a film in 1962. Otherwise, there's no additional info from him. He's a Hollywood ghost. Yeah.
That means we got 2 Hollywood ghosts in this episode.
Do we?
Yeah, the lady who wrote the episode.
Oh, yeah.
To call her a Hollywood ghost is kind of a discredit to the actual Hollywood ghosts, though. So, with that said,
you ready for the next section?
I was just going to apologize for Ted Otis for linking them in. All right, so what's IMDb got to say about this episode?
We decided collectively that instead of taking you guys through a play-by-play of every plot point and every episode, when you could watch it, and we want you to watch it because that is conversation.
And let's be honest, episode 1 through 14,
super
Wander
boring.
With Us, hard to stomach.
We apologize. We're fixing it.
Thanks for sticking around.
Yeah, we appreciate you. So instead of doing that, we're going to take the synopsis from what IMDb says about this episode, and then we'll do pull some fun facts out of what we found when watching it. And if this format is super cool and better than episodes 1 through 14,
I don't want to hear about it.
Let us know, because I want to know.
I don't want to hear about it.
Okay, he doesn't want to hear about it, but you can still tweet at us and I will tweet back at you. Or you can log on to our Facebook page. It's Wonder With Us.
You don't have to log on to our Facebook page. It's an open page.
I mean, do that. And just contact me and I will discuss this with you because he doesn't want to. It's fine. All right.
I just know how perfect it is. I don't need your approval.
IMDb says...
Lay it on me. Quote it.
Order breaks down between 3 surviving crewmen whose rocket ship crashes on an unknown world with limited water and supplies.
Thank you, IMDb, for nothing.
So, based on that synopsis, would you watch this episode?
Based on the IMDb synopsis, I would not watch this episode. Based on historical data of having seen this episode, I would not watch this episode. And based on my own opinion of things and stuff, I would not, again, watch this episode.
But you're still recommending people who listen to this podcast to watch this episode.
I think everybody should watch every episode at least once. I have seen this one like 38 times now. It's just a guess. I won't be watching it again if I can help it.
Fair enough. So, fun things. You want to read the first one? Fun things about the opening scene as we progress.
I mean, I don't know how fun it is. I'll give a quick read through. However, we open with a spaceship launching. Short camera pan over mission control and discussion over the team having lost contact with the crew on the ship, which we already told you about. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
Spoilers and shit.
That's where the monologue came in with the guy who was like, I shot an arrow into the air. And there's this epic scene where he's standing in front of a window and you can just see his reflection.
Yeah, he's just kind of
quoting
staring
this
off into
thing.
nothing.
It's great.
But yeah, they seem to have lost contact with the crew on the ship, and the ship seems to have disappeared. You did point out you found something regarding the set in this scene,
Yeah,
right?
that was the fun part. It was a reused set.
Oh, well, that is fun. Lay it on me.
There were some of the gauges and the flashy lights that you see when the camera pans that were part of the Krell facility on Altar, is that 5?
That's 4.
4.
Altar 4. From the Forbidden Planet 1956.
Yeah, so they're just like, we're gonna borrow that.
And why wouldn't you? I mean, if somebody already built a set and that works, why not?
I appreciate it for the sake of time and resources.
And the fact that the budget for the episode was like $6.
All right, and then we move on from there to the next thing we see is a desolate wasteland. 3 surviving crew members in their ever fancy mechanical jumpsuits.
Stop with the jumpsuits.
I mean, they can't.
Jumpsuits don't make us think of space people. It makes us think of bad mechanics. Moving on.
And only a few supplies. What we can see is that they only have 5 gallons of water, plus their itty-bitty canteens that hang from their little belts.
Oh my god, those canteens are adorable. They are literally flasks.
But that's all that they have to make this place home now. It's great.
And they discuss shortly into the episode that they're looking at a minimum of 4 years for NASA to build a new ship
to come and
then
try to
travel
find
time
them.
to come and try to find them. So they've got 5 gallons of water plus total of 5 canteens from all of the crew that they have collected.
That look like they may be like 12-ounce canteens.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
These are fancy flasks at best.
They comment on the size of the sun and how the atmosphere is like no different than Earth.
Foreshadowing poorly.
Guys, we can breathe. Also, does the sun look like close? And there's only one sun, so yeah. We also see the breakdown of the crew as far as like their order and how it works.
So
Corey is very super hot-headed, and Pearson's level and compliant, and Colonel Donlin is like just trying to maintain order because he's the colonel in a really shitty situation.
I have to point out. I'm going to point it out at some point in this episode. This seems like a good enough spot.
Sure.
I appreciate that they've got half an hour to tell a story.
Yeah.
It's not enough time to tell a story. Episodic television, it's great because they have half an hour to tell a small part of a story that's interesting, and then they have got an entire season to tell an actual story. Whereas a one-shot television show such as The Twilight Zone, where every single episode is a new story unrelated to the previous or the next, they have 30 minutes to tell a story, and they cannot.
Beginning, middle, and end.
Beginning, middle, and end. We got to have a start, an introduction. We got to have a fucking a hook. We got to have a problem. We got to have character arc. We got to have conclusion. And we got 30 minutes to do it, and they can't use exposition because nobody watches TV to listen to people talk. With that said, the character arc of Corey is fucking baffling.
Baffling. In a good way or a bad way?
In a super bad way.
Why?
Because this dude goes through like 32 steps from being a normal ass sane human to being a complete sociopath on his way to killing hookers around the country with a spoon and collecting their teeth
Whoa.
in about 10 minutes.
That's intense. I mean, I kind of get it, though.
Oh, I completely get it. And if what we were looking at was 4 hours that was depicting, say, 6 months, I would say this character progression is perfectly reasonable and these people are all stupid. But we've got about 15 minutes depicting about a 24-hour period.
Well, Corey is like hot-headed right out the gate.
He's hot-headed right out the gate. No part of me sees Corey when it starts and thinks that guy's going to be pickling people's penises soon.
Well, that didn't happen in this episode.
No, that didn't happen in this episode. Nor did Corey go around the country killing prostitutes with a spoon and collecting their teeth. My point is, when this episode starts, no part of me saw Corey and thought, this dude's going to be a lunatic. He's going to be a serial killer. He's going to be a sociopath. He's going to murder everybody in his fucking life. He was just kind of a douchebag. And by the end of it,
it makes sense.
Dahmer was like pretty tame. All I'm saying.
All right.
Character progression was way too forced, is my point. With that said, on the topic of killing prostitutes with spoons, collecting their teeth, pickling penises, and everybody's favorite serial killer, Jeffrey Dahmer, let's take an ad break.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. And we're back.
No.
Your mic's not on. How about now?
I don't know. Is it on now?
There you are.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
It's fine. You know, if you don't want to hear me talk, you just have to tell me.
Just have to hit the mute button. Yeah, I know.
Anyway.
I was trying to be polite by not pointing it out, but all right.
They decide to go on a scouting mission because they're like,
Who is they?
They
We've been gone for like 9 hours for an ad break.
Corey, Pearson, and Donlin decide to go on a scouting mission to see if there are any life forms on this planet that they're on. And so Corey and Pearson go out, and Donlin stays with the camp because he's the colonel, and that's how that works. So they go out for a really, really long time, and it's seemingly dark now by the lighting change.
It is.
And only Corey comes back. And he comes back to find Colonel Donlin, who has lit a propane fire.
Yep. Got a propane stove heater deal working.
Which is not what I would recommend if you have limited supplies and about 4 years to survive.
And no understanding of the climate in which you've just landed.
Yeah. So Donlin notices that Corey's canteen is way fuller than it was. One thing we didn't mention was at the start of all of this, Corey is like obsessed with the amount of water that they have.
He is obsessed with water in general.
And he gets very, very upset when Donlin starts giving water from his canteen to an ailing member of the crew who eventually dies.
Very quickly after that dies.
Yeah. He's like, well, he's not going to survive. You need to be wasting water on the living, not on those who are dying. Anyway, Corey, fun fact about him, has a hole in his lip. He
cannot take a drink of water without soaking himself in it.
Spilling it everywhere, all over himself, every time. So Donlin, seeing this, tells Corey to take him back to where he left Pearson.
After noticing that Corey's canteen actually has more water in it when he got back than it did when he left.
So Donlin tells Corey to take him where he left Pearson because he obviously left him out there in the wasteland. There's this long extended shot of their trek back to where Pearson is. Once they get there, Donlin sees that Pearson's been shot, but he is still alive. And Pearson tries to draw a picture in the sand, and he dies before he finishes it. Your turn.
So he tries to draw the picture in the sand. We don't actually get any idea of what this picture is, although it looks pretty fucking obvious once you know what it is. From there, Pearson points up a hill At which point Donlin decides that what he's trying to tell him is that he saw something up in that direction and that it's important that they go check it out. So Donlin, in his moment of glorious leadership, leaves his gun with dead Pearson along with his canteen and runs up the hill to figure out what it is that they missed. In his haste to figure out what the problem is, Corey picks up the gun he left down. Picks up the gun he left with Pearson and gives a fairly brief exposite about, that's not a word or where it goes, gives a brief monologue about what it is that he is planning, which is to survive, blah, 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 bad guy, explaining why it is he's doing the bad things he's doing, and decides to shoot Colonel Donlin, subsequently shooting a hole in Donlin's canteen and wasting the beloved water he has killed 2 people for now. It is a brief moment of absolute stupidity.
Yep.
And it doesn't get any less stupid from there. Realistically, from there, Corey collects what water he can and the gun and starts heading up the mountain ridge so that he might find out what it was Pearson was pointing at. And we have an almost montage that would have been easier to deal with if it was in fact a montage, because what we see is Corey crawling up flat land with a camera that has been tilted to make the land look angled. Sighing, breathing heavy, wasting his water,
phenomenal
dropping his gun.
acting.
Fair acting from the person who's playing Corey, whose name I already forgot and does not matter. When he gets to the top, what he sees makes him very happy, momentarily, as what he sees is a sign.
A road sign.
For Reno, Nevada.
97 miles. So he has this fit of maniacal laughter that, like, he snaps. The viewer sees it. He completely snaps. He goes into maniacal laughter. And then, like, realization hits him that, like, he just killed these 2 people for absolutely no reason because they went in the spaceship. They went up and they came back down and they are still on Earth in the desert. And my favorite part of this episode is actually in that non-montage where he's climbing the mountain ridge, because then Serling cuts in with commentary, which is something he hasn't done in previous episodes, to fill time. He is taunting Corey's character. That's right, Mr. Corey, you keep moving, you keep climbing. And he's just straight out taunting the character over, you'll get there, to fill the time. And it's a wonderful thing, because you think about it as like Serling in, side by side with Madeline Champion, like, wrote the screenplay for this episode, so he's actually taunting a character that he created, and I really, really like that.
Well, it's an interesting new attempt to fill time, and my biggest problem with it is that it was necessary. It almost feels like Serling was watching the episode back, and halfway through this scene decided to run back to the audio booth because he realized that what we were watching was a man crawling on flat ground with a tilted camera and that it needed something else. Now, what he did was fantastic. Serling taunting a character he created in a story he wrote about an outline he got from a potentially drunk woman at a party is delightful.
Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely delightful. But it was also a necessity in that scene.
Yeah.
Because it was dull.
Because without it, it would have drug on forever.
It was a sweating man crawling up flat ground, and it needed something.
So I think you've made it clear a few times, but what did you think of this episode?
Don't like it. It's dumb. Dumb and uninteresting at best.
So we will not be watching it again. So that's
you can
all
watch
right.
whatever you want. I will not be watching this episode again. I have done it for the official podcast, and that's official Wander with Us. Nothing officially with the Twilight Zone.
Sure.
And I won't be watching it again.
And I have no need to either. I would say it was a good attempt. It's not necessarily an original story.
It's an original idea on a very old story.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite moment, though?
The end credits.
Really? Because that meant that it was over?
Yes.
There was nothing in the episode itself?
Well, you took the Serling taunting Corey bit, and I can't have that as my favorite moment as well. So
I mean, you can.
I'm going to go with the overacting of the NASA staff. Overacting the issue while being under-concerned about the people they lost.
That's good. That's good. I like that.
What's your general takeaway? What do we got? What's the moral or the general idea you leave this with?
You should think before you shoot.
Well, that could be said to so many people about so
many
things.
Yes.
But fair enough. Let's get a marble rating on this.
Oh, do you want to tell them about the marble rating, or do you want me to?
Have we not discussed the marble rating?
No, this is a new thing.
So, from here on out, as long as we remember, which I can't guarantee we will be rating each episode at the end of it based on what we are calling the marble rating. We will each give it a score of 1 to 5 marbles, and then at the end of that, we will combine those two scores to give the episode its final marble rating according to Wander With Us.
Indeed.
Now, we wrote out an elaborate list of what each marble means, a nice little soundbite of information regarding each individual marble, and I subsequently lost that paper. So, 1 marble is bad, will not be watching it again. 5 marbles is fantastic, going to name my first child after this episode. Everything in between, we're probably going to kind of...
It's a sliding scale of, it was an episode of The Twilight Zone. Not good, not bad, but meh.
I disagree. I think 1... it's an episode of The Twilight Zone should almost be a 2 or a 3.
I think it was a 3 on the list.
I think, because 1 definitely needs to be like, I'm sending a bill to whoever owns the rights to this show, and they are comping dinner because I had to sit through this.
Yep.
So, with that said, 1 to 5, where's it land for you?
Overall, I'm going to give it a 2.
You're going to give it a 2. That's a rough rating. This is a bad start because I'm going to give it a 2.
Despite hating it enough to have somebody from Sirloin's people pay the bill.
I'm not. I don't hate it so much that I will like I don't hate the episode. I nothing this episode.
Fair.
It's an episode, it's a placeholder. Congratulations. This is here in my book. This is here so that there can be a full season of The Twilight Zone.
Sure.
And they're not 1 short. And that's how it feels. It feels like something that was rushed. It feels like something that was half-cocked at best, under-designed, under-budgeted. And it feels like they did the best they could with what they had, and what they had wasn't shit. So it's getting a 2. Because the effort was made, the acting was mostly good, the characters were unique, if not original. So I'm not giving it a 1, I'm giving it a 2, which leaves it with a total 4.
Of placeholder. It's an episode.
Congratulations, episode 15 of The Twilight Zone. I shot an arrow into the air. You have received a 4 marble review.
Yeah.
From Wander With Us.
I like that. Maybe we should have shirts made or patches. My marble rating is.
Nobody's gonna buy that right now. Maybe eventually when we've got more than listener. Hi, Mom. Maybe. For now, that's what we got for this one.
Yep.
So like always, tweet at us. If you can leave us a comment or a rating on iTunes, if you got the time, it would be super helpful. It's so I mean it's a little late for us to grab the early new podcast jump on the iTunes rating, and that's all right. We're we're not looking for it. But if we could get just something, so if people come across us, they have more of an idea of what to expect than just like, hey, these two are talking about a really old shitty show.
Well, and then they have, it makes us a little more visible, makes it easier for people to find us.
It makes it easier for people to find us. It gives us a better chance of being seen by other potential listeners, which gives us a better chance of expanding and being able to maybe even do this more often than we do now.
Yeah.
So like once every 3 months.
Hey, do you remember what our email is?
Our email is wwucast@gmail.com. That's Wander With Us, WWU cast, C-A-S-T, @gmail.com. Our Twitter is Wander With Us?
Question
mark?
It's been a while, guys.
It's been a while. Give me 2 seconds. I'll pull all of this information
And while he's looking at that, if emailing is easier for you, because I know a lot of people aren't on Twitter, don't like Twitter, whatever the case may be, you can email us. And, if you have questions or comments or whatever, email us and we'll respond. And that would, like if you take episode 15 and like, hey, this is way better than what you guys were doing in the beginning. Like, we like this, keep it up. It helps us. It gives us direction on where to go forward. And that would be helpful. So you can email or tweet at us.
Tweet at us at WWUcast.
Hey, it's the same.
It's the same.
Where can they find you on Twitter?
They can find me at WWUcast.
That's where they find you? Okay, fair enough.
Or at Conardare. That's at KONRDARE. Where can they find you?
I am at its_Bethany at Twitter. So do that thing.
At Twitter, she says.
I am at the Twitty box.
Okay, that's
Craig Ferguson would say.
Would Craig, what the fuck is wrong with my brain today? Thanks for listening. I'm going to take a nap.
Have a good night.